Hello guys, this is your girl Bridget Ekpo and this is Obodo TV. One of my subscribers on YouTube asked me to talk about how long it takes for people to settle down. So for people who are moving here from Africa to settle down either in the UK, US or Canada, how long will it take for someone to settle down? Well, my take on that is it depends. I would say that it depends on how you come in the first place. There are different ways and different visas that people come in with. So the first thing that will determine how long it will take for you to settle will be the kind of visa that you're coming in with. For instance, if you have citizenship of another country, for instance, if you're a British citizen and you've got the passport, or you're an American or a Canadian citizen and you're living in Africa and you're coming down here with your passport, it will be much easier for you to settle down, because as a citizen you know it's like coming home. You have rights and all the privileges that the people who live in those countries have as a citizen, so you can settle down quickly. You might have access to housing quickly, you might have access to jobs quickly, and you get the support that you need. But for someone who is coming in with a visit visa, which will be the visa that most people use, it does take longer, and the time that it takes is determined by where you are going to, what the immigration laws are in that particular country. For instance, if you come to the UK with a visit visa in 2017, to get a job will be very hard, because what it is that most people in Africa may not be aware of it, but if you have a visit visa, it will state there clearly that you have no recourse to public funds, and you cannot work. It's not a work permit. You're going to need a work permit to be able to work, because wherever you go to go and look for a job, they will ask you for your work permit, or they will ask you for your resident status, and if you don't have it, then it's a problem. So that will determine how long it will take for you to settle down, because I don't consider somebody who has been here for 15, 20 years and they haven't got their document, they haven't got their papers settled, because there's still a restriction on their movement. There's a restriction on them. They might be working or living and doing things, but still they are not fully settled. So you can find people who've been here for 20 years, 15 years and longer, who are not fully settled yet. So it depends. I remember having this conversation with a family member of my sister who lives in Canada, and I was just reflecting on it, what she said to me. She's lived abroad for a very long time with her husband, and the day we were having this conversation, and she was saying, do you know what, it took us 10 years to settle down. And I was kind of I was surprised, because I expected that what in my mind I thought, oh, if you have your papers, you're coming in here and you've got right to work, right to go to school, then surely it should take less than that. But she said, you know what, 10 years it took us to settle. And I believe her, because I know how long it can take, because she's like, we were going to school, we were doing this, we were doing that, just trying to advance, just trying to better ourselves, get this qualification, get that qualification, and at a point we're like, you know what, we just need to go and get a job. We just need to go and get. So 10 years it took them. And I can relate to that as well, because I've been in the UK for over 10 years now. And frankly speaking, I can honestly say that I'm just settled now. I can honestly say that I'm just settled, because before I left Nigeria to come to the UK, I had a good job. And looking back, sometimes I would have some regrets, like, did I make the right decision by coming to live here? So that brings me to saying to people who are watching me, if you're in Africa and you have a good job, a secured job, please, my brother and my sister, don't leave your job just because of this hype of going to live abroad. Don't leave your job, please, because you look back sometimes. In my own circumstances, I look back at the people that will start a work together, and what they've achieved and where they are now, and I look at myself, I'm like, because I had to go back to school, I was having children, I couldn't really do the kind of work I want to do. For a long time I couldn't work because my children were young. Childcare is a massive issue, which is, It's a story for another day. If you are a woman, or if you're a young family and you've got children, it affects how long it will take you to settle, because sometimes you find that working is not even an option, because as you are working, you're just using the money to pay for childcare. So what's the point? So I mean, I'm going to do a separate video on childcare, which one of my friends has said I should do, but I'm just saying that, you know, when you have young children, it affects how long it will take you to settle down. So that's another issue that will affect you. So you know, the long and short of it, of what I would say regarding how long it takes, it varies. It varies, and it depending on how you came in, on what you came in with in terms of your documents. So that's another thing, you know. And then how long does it take again for you to, for instance, if you are a student and you came with a student visa, it's a process for you to move from being a having that student visa and having, you know, citizenship. In fact, in the UK now, you can't even marry. It's not like before. They keep changing the law. They're reviewing the law all the time, you know. So you can't even marry. You know, in Africa, when you want to marry, you inform your parents, or you take permission from your parents. If it's a bad, you go and ask the bride's family. But in the UK, it's home office, so that you have to go and tell. I know it sounds funny. That's the home office is like, you know, the immigration office, their headquarters. So for you to even marry, you have to go and tell them that I want to marry you. Then they will now look and see whether you can marry or not. They will determine whether you can marry or not, because they believe that, you know, if you're not a legal resident, then you cannot marry, because they feel like you are marrying, you are paying somebody to marry so you can get the citizenship. In fact, you can't even marry somebody and get the citizenship now. They won't. Previously in the past, you can do that. I know in America you can still do that, and in some other countries. But in the UK, you can't even marry somebody. Say, okay, I don't have paper, let me go and marry this person, and then they will give me paper. It's really, really difficult. Very, very difficult. They will first of all tell you to go back to where you came from to go and marry. Before the transition is going to be more difficult for somebody who hasn't got, you know, the right to work, for instance, the right to go to school. Because with a visit visa, it's visit, basically. That's what it is. So it's going to take some time for you to be able to settle down in terms of, you know, accessing work, you know, if you want to go back to school, being able to go to school and all that. So these are all the issues. I mean, these are all the things that can, you know, affect the time that it takes to settle down. A lot of people will come with visit visa, and there's a problem with that, because, you know, the laws are constantly changing. So previously, in those days, you know, it was easy for people to come with visit visa and they can still work, you know, maybe, you know, through any kind of RNG, you know, use somebody else's paperwork and all that. But it's so difficult now. It's really, really difficult. I know in the UK here, most employers, it's really hard. They will check and check and check, because laws, you know, the laws are not in their favor. If you are caught employing somebody who hasn't got the right papers, the home office will fine you up to maybe £5,000 for one person that they catch. So a small business, for instance, will not want to hire somebody who they are not sure of their immigration status. So that can impact on how long it will take. What I would say to people who are in Africa, if you live in Africa and you have a really good job, please, if you're thinking of coming here, think about it properly, because it does set you back. I will say that it sets you back. I, for instance, can say that, you know, coming to live here did set me back, because I had a very good job before I came to live here. I had a good job in Nigeria, a job that was secured, and I was doing well. I would say I was doing well at that level, because in Africa, if you have like a government job, those are really good jobs that, you know, you work until you retire. So it's a secure job that, even though you might not be making a lot of money when you start, but because of the security of that job, you work your way from one, you know, level to the other, and then you are sure that in time you're going to be able to make it. So if you got a very good job like that, my advice would be for you not to come here, except, you know, if it's for medical reasons, or, you know, you made enough money and you are tired of the environment, you want to relocate here for. But if you have a really secure job, my brother, you just, I don't think it will. For me, I will not advise anybody to leave their job and come overseas, because it takes a long time to settle down. That's the settle. For some people, it can take longer. Yes, believe it or not. If you've been abroad for 20 years, 15 years, and you don't have your papers, I don't think you've settled. I won't say you settled, because even though you might be working, or you might you eating and drinking, and you live in a house and you're okay, but because you don't have that papers, you can't say you settled, because you can't go back home, because if you go, then coming back will become a problem. So in that circumstance, I would say, you know, you are not settled. So I think the long and short answer to it is that it varies. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you liked it and you enjoyed it, please like it, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I'll be very happy to hear from you if you have any suggestion or anything that you want me to talk about, any area of interest of yours. Like I said, in my profile, it aims to create a platform to discuss issues that affect people from African background, the issues that affect us as a community. So please like, subscribe, and let's hear from you. Thank you for watching. Bye until I come your way again. Bye bye. Thank you.